Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Zoom session with our friend from Israel, Rabbi Ben Packer, Rabbi's old friend of AFSI. And he is, to give you his resume a little bit, better introduce him. He's the director of the Jerusalem Heritage House in the old city of Jerusalem. The Heritage House hosts young Jewish people in the heart of Jerusalem, including many lone soldiers. Because of this, Rabbi Packer, Ben Packer, I might call him Ben throughout the discussion, is in touch with literally hundreds of lone soldiers who are on the front lines and inside of Gaza. He himself did his army service with the Givati Brigade in Gaza. Rabbi Packer also served in the past as a campus rabbi at the University of North Carolina, as well as Duke University. So he's quite familiar with the campus scene from his work then and his work now. Rabbi Packer is very blessed to live in the old city of Jerusalem with his wife and 7 children. This guy does a lot. I mean, it's amazing. I see all the things he's doing all the time, and then there's 7 children. Anyway, we have a number of topics to discuss today, but before we go into the topics, I'm just going to introduce Rabbi Ben Packer and make sure I didn't leave anything out, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you for joining us.
I'm very honored to be with you and with this very esteemed group. And I do have to mention, especially for this group, that I am also the chairman of the Israel Land Fund, which was started by R.E.A. King, the deputy mayor of Jerusalem. And so he would want me to mention that, I'm sure.
Yes, and the AFSI crowd knows R.E.A. Quite well, many of us. So thanks. I'm sorry I left that out, but thanks for adding that. So with that, I mean, I guess I introduced Ben, so I'm going to just kind of go into some of the topics. As with his background, there's so many things we can cover, but we put together a few questions. And I guess the one we'll start off with your perspective on how the ground incursion is going.
I mean, I think it's going amazing. I think one thing that has to be considered is the amount of planning that went into Hamas's original terror attacks. They were not surprised in any way, of course, that Israel would attack back. So meaning they planned for that as well. So it's not like they're taken by any surprise whatsoever. They expected all this to happen. And our soldiers, nonetheless, with the help of the Air Force and the other, forces, are doing amazing. Amazing. And of course, we've had, unfortunately, tragically soldiers killed, but the number is very low as far as things go. The amount of progress is very good. And of course, there's the issue with the hostages that has to be taken into consideration. But it's going amazingly well. Of course, a lot of people would like it to go faster, but we'd all like a lot of things in life that aren't possible. But I think the soldiers are doing an amazing job, and thank God it should continue to go so well.
Do you have a sense for, based upon the course that it's on? I know it's hard to give timeframes, but how long do you expect that it might take to kind of?
Oh, I would expect personally that it could easily take another 2 to 3 weeks of heavy fighting. I don't know about much longer than that, but certainly 2 to 3 weeks I would expect. Especially the way they're doing it very methodically. Of course, a lot of it depends on the hostage situation. Hopefully they'll all be freed soon, but in the meantime, that's slowing things down, of course. But I would say 2 to 3 weeks more of heavy fighting. But then after that, I don't see any end anytime soon to the Israeli army being in Gaza, and I don't think that's a bad thing either. I think that's the key to this whole thing, to be honest with you.
Right, and we're going to get to that. I know. So let's go back. Let's stay with the hostages for a moment. Do you have?
Yeah, I think and similar to what we said before, it's all very planned. This is not a haphazard operation. So the Hamas people, as bad and horrible as they are, certainly planned to have these hostages. So the only, I say, good part about that is that, they have where to put them and how to feed them and things like that. They want to keep today they announced, I don't know if you saw in the news, that Thailand believes they're getting all of their hostages back soon and that they're all alive.
There was 10 or 15 of them, right?
I think it's over 30.
Over 30. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know what's exactly true, obviously, but if that is true, that certainly is a good sign for our hostages on some level. And they were prepared for this, unfortunately, and so hopefully there's a lot of hope that we can save as many of the hostages as possible.
That would be, man, that would be just so wonderful. How about your thoughts towards an ending? Like how does it end? It goes on a long time. The active,
I think it's
combat ends within a few weeks, but how does it end and what comes afterwards?
I think it's very interesting because AFSI, it's a safe Israel, and if you look at the organization, they tend to take more right-wing, you would say, positions. They tend to favor, not giving up land to our enemies, things like that. And that really is the key to this as well. That sums up this whole thing. You can't give land to terrorist organizations that want to kill you. And if you do, which unfortunately we have done, you have to fix it and take it back. And that's what's going on right now. And of course, the U.S. government and other governments aren't so into this idea. And there are even people within Israel who are not so into this idea. But at the end of the day, you have to be responsible, which we haven't been, as we've seen, unfortunately. And the responsible thing to do is a continuous military and civilian Israeli presence in Gaza. Now, how exactly that jives with the current population in Gaza remains to be seen. But whatever it is, with them, with us, we need to be there, both militarily and the civilians must also be there. There's no way around it. There's nowhere in Israel where there's the military and not civilians. Not on the Lebanese border, not on the Syrian border, not on the Jordanian border. And it won't work in Gaza either. There have to be both military and civilian. That's just the way things work. And certainly we can't trust these people. They're a bunch of terrorists and terrorist supporters. So, that's the way I think it ends. And I don't think there's any other way.
Right. Well, you're 100% correct when you talked about AFSI. I mean, there were times I would speak to, I think AFSI people are generally clear, and the mission of the organization really is supporting the folks formerly in the Gaza back to 2005, and certainly the people in Judea and Samaria and throughout.
Sure. But the main point is that supporting those people, which is, of course, is the right thing to do, is what makes Israel safe.
Right. Right, and I used to have discussions sometimes with Helen Freedman, my mom. I'd say sometimes you might want to call it. I said, you ever think about changing it to Americans for a Strong Israel? Because it was about strength. It was about chazuk, and so that was an important part. So we're all on the same page, and I know many of the folks from Gush Katif that she was so close with, that the organization is so close with, would really, in a heartbeat, be back there,
Sure.
And I know, I think that I agree that that's probably, hopefully, the best answer going forward. It's not necessarily the easiest answer, so to speak. It's not like it doesn't have challenges. It does have challenges, but that's what being responsible is. You take on challenges. Being irresponsible is ignoring challenges. That's what we did, and that's why this happened. Yeah, ignoring them doesn't make them go away, right?
It makes them even worse.
Makes it worse. I'm going to tie back into your experience on the college campus a little bit, because again, having spent time in those big universities and dealing with so many young people, while my understanding and my sense of Israel, there's a decent amount of unity, and there's not so much of it here in the U.S. and certainly on the campuses. Can you give us your impression of what you're seeing on the campuses, and maybe what the impression of other Israelis as to what they see here in the U.S. going on?
Well, I would say, first of all, one of the things that's very interesting about campus is that it's actually very reflective of the larger society. It's just normally a little bit ahead. It's a little bit ahead of the society. It's normally where society is going, for better or for worse. And so you can learn a lot about society from being on campus. And what I saw on campus, and this might not be so politically correct, is that, a lot of the more leftist extreme groups, they're incredibly ignorant. They're incredibly ignorant, and they don't really have a real ideology. They're kind of just going with what they're told to do. However, the Muslim students are quite aware of what's going on, and they are the ones leading all this anti-Israel stuff. It's not the Black Lives Matter and the other leftist organizations, the socialists and all this. They are involved, of course, but as fools. They're simply fools that are going along with it. You have gay groups that support Hamas, which of course makes no sense on any level. But this is what they're told to do by the Muslim students, who they are also believed to be their allies, which makes no sense. But the only thing they're allied in is hating Jews, and the Muslims are the ones running this. This is a Muslim-run thing on campuses. You see it with the Muslim Students Associations all across America. They are the ones where all this is coming from. And it's crazy that the campuses allow this, because they wouldn't allow any other organization. As much as they talk about free speech and freedom of expression, any kind of hatred on campus is going to be put off. You can't be anti-gay. You can't be anti-black. You can't be anti-Hispanic. You're not allowed to do that on campus. But you can be anti-Jewish, and you can be anti-Israel, which is Jewish, and you can say horrible things. It's inconsistent. It's hypocrisy, and quite frankly, it's pathetic, because they're just scared of these people. And the larger society is also scared of it. America, thank God, is doing much better than Europe. But look what's going on in Europe. That's where things are going. The Western European countries are unable, for whatever reason, to protect their Jews. And soon they'll be unable to protect themselves. That's where it's going.
Yeah, they had a big head start on us as far as this takeover goes. It seems we're trying to catch up here, but it started, I think, a lot earlier, the migration.
Yeah, hopefully America will see what happens over there and come to their senses.
Yeah, I mean, our borders are wide open. What's going on here in this country? Who's come in over the last couple of years? It's quite scary. So, you and I could chat for a long time, and I'm sure maybe the people would love listening to hear you speaking some more. Maybe not so much myself, but just to kind of in closing, if you could maybe speak to anything that you might want to touch on that we didn't discuss, and also maybe like a message for us in America and maybe even more globally as to some of the best ways we can support what's the effort, the Israeli war effort in response to
I would say that's a great topic. I think it's very important. Might be the most important topic, honestly. That I think that, first of all, people need to reassure and strengthen each other. I think it's very important. No one should assume that all the other people who are in their camp, so to speak, or whatever, are doing fine. It's a tough time. We got to rally together. We got to strengthen each other. We have to educate each other. We have to inspire each other. This is very important. It's very important. That's within our own neighborhood, synagogues, social media circles, whatever it is. The second thing I would say, as a friend of mine said from America to me recently, if we live in America, we have to help financially. Now, not everybody is capable, but most people know people who are capable. And I would say when it comes to things like that, the best thing to do is to target donations very as specifically as possible towards initiatives that speak to the individuals that are sponsoring them and have the biggest impact. I traveled yesterday down to Gaza, the border, with a certain person named Josh, and he's a one-man guy, and he's doing amazing things, helping get guns to the security teams and drones I mean, that's amazing. Other people are doing that kind of work as well. Now is an incredible opportunity for the Jewish people to strengthen ourselves. There's a war and it's difficult, but as they say, and they say over here, the expression is, what was before will not be. And we must be stronger, and we need to take this opportunity to be stronger. Now is exactly the time to build synagogues, to build schools, ritual baths, community centers, to help all the different farms that are trying to continue to function, security teams, all that stuff is still going to be there after the war, but needs to be better. And I would say we also need to pray. We need to pray.
Yes, somebody shared with me that today is, everything's National Hot Dog Day or Donut Day, but today is like National Prayer Day. So, which I don't know if you're familiar with over there, but maybe we can close, since you are Rabbi Ben Packer, with a good thought on prayer.
I think there's a lot of good programs out there that you pray for individual soldiers and for the soldiers in general. I think that's a must. That's a must right now. Not only because it works, but because it connects us. I think that is crucial. Pray for all of Israel, pray for all the security teams and all that. But the soldiers right now, they're in a situation, they're doing amazing things. And, I think praying for individual soldiers, groups of soldiers, I think, whatever the person, speaks to the person, but you can't pray enough for the soldiers right now. There's not too much.
Okay, well, this was really a great conversation. I'm so glad you were able to be with us, and I hope that we keep the dialogue open. I know you and I will, but we did share one of Ben's written updates in last week's Constant Contact, and it's very well written. And maybe we'll share some more updates. And if you have anything that's up that you really want to share in a video message, please feel free to let me know, and we can see if we can set something
anything up for AFSI, anything. Really.
That's great. Thanks so much, Ben. All the best. Be safe, be strong. I know you're always going to be strong. Be safe, keep doing all your great work, and we'll look forward to hopefully seeing you in Israel, but probably here first.
Okay, thank you very much.
Shalom.
Shalom.